You're watching Past the Wire TV.
Everybody, welcome to yet another episode of Past the Wire TV. We're going to have plenty of content coming at you for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, brought to you by our friends at AmWager. You can bet the Belmont Festival and a lot more at AmWager, and they've got some great promos going on right now. So if you ever thought about joining, now's the time. Highly recommended, fantastic platform. The Belmont Stakes is being run at Saratoga at least for the next 2 years. It's being run at 1.25 miles, not 1.5 miles, and the conversation has come up amongst many students of the game and horse racing fans and enthusiasts as to whether or not the Belmont Stakes should still be called the Test of Champions, and or should it have an asterisk? Well, I'm going to let you tell me the answer to that question, because honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, and let's see if we can figure it out together. Okay. First things first, my main concern about moving the Belmont to 1.25 miles is that they don't move it back to the 1.5 miles. Horses run less now. They're less durable now. They're on more medications now. They're all on just about on Lasix in the non-stake races. All that's being phased out, maybe not. Who the hell knows at this point? But keeping it at 1.25 miles, in my opinion, would be a mistake. My second concern, which is not nearly as significant, is that they have to run it at Saratoga for 3 years instead of 2, because the construction schedules are usually behind in New York City and just about everywhere else. So you got supply chain issues, you got all kinds of issues. So who knows if the new and improved Belmont Park is going to be ready for the Belmont Stakes of what will be 2026? They may have to run that one at Saratoga too. And between you and I wouldn't be surprised if Naira's long-term goal is to extend the Saratoga meet again and run the Belmont up there on an annual basis. And moving to Belmont in and of itself is not a big deal. That's happened before. I don't think anybody's going to really lose any sleep over that. I mean, it is the Belmont Stakes. You'd like to see it run at Belmont Park, but it's been moved before. You got to move it for logistical reasons, construction, this, that, whatever. We move it. Okay. But changing the distance, I think, is wrong. Should be 1.5 miles like it has been. And it is what separates the boys from the men, and it's been called the Test of Champions because it's 1.5 miles. And think about it, okay? The Triple Crown, one of the most elusive and difficult feats in sports to accomplish. Okay, Bob Baffert accomplished it twice recently. American Pharaoh and Justified did it. If the Belmont Stakes was 1.25 miles, he probably would have done it with Silver Charm. I don't think there's any doubt he'd have done it with Real Quiet. Smarty Jones probably would have done it. Birdstone probably doesn't get him, which was a major score for me. Those of you that watch Past the Wire know that, Birdstone was a big score for me. So, I'm glad that at least that year it was 1.5 miles. Now, mile and a quarter to a mile and a half, it changes everything. It changes the whole complexion of the race. It makes the Triple Crown not as elusive. And I don't think the Triple Crown and the spacing of the races needs fixing. Horses have won the Triple Crown. It's always happened in throughout the history of horse racing in streaks. It's always been in clusters. We didn't have one for a long time till Secretariat did it. Okay, then after Secretariat, we had a firm. Seattle Slew went a long time till American Pharaoh did it. Bang. Then we get Justified. So it can be done. It takes the right horse, the right time, the right trainer, the right everything has to come together correctly without any hiccups. Uh, and that's a rarity. So it's difficult and it's intended to be difficult. You know, but it's the Belmont Stakes, the test of champions. It's history. The mile and a half is what sets it apart. It's been called the test of champions because it's a mile and a half race for 3-year-olds. It's a step beyond the Kentucky Derby. That's the first time they go a mile and a quarter, and well, most of them anyway. Now there's a couple that have done it, but it's certainly the first time that the 3-year-olds go a mile and a half on the dirt. Uh, in a prestigious, historic, you know, epic, epic race. And I think they'll take away. They might get some bigger fields, which as betters we like, but I think they'll take away some of the historic significance of of the Belmont Stakes and of the horses that have won the Triple Crown with the race at a mile and a quarter, because I think at a mile and a half, changing it to a mile and a quarter, it'll put a little, separation between the ones that now win it at a mile and a quarter, and they'll probably increase them. We'll probably have more Triple Crown winners if they change it to a mile and a quarter. Do we want that? I don't know. I don't. I would like it to stay the way it is. Uh, I think it's a great series in sports. I think it's supposed to be elusive. It's supposed to be extremely difficult. And the mile and a half is a challenge from a handicapping standpoint, from a racing standpoint, from a training standpoint, from a heart and stamina standpoint. It's all that and more. It's the Belmont Stakes. Uh, you don't fix it. There's just certain things you don't do. So I'm against it. Now, does that mean it gets an asterisk for these 2 years? I don't know. It's kind of a silly question to me. It is what it is. Does what was his name? Tis the Law. Does his race get an asterisk? I don't know. Uh, Nobody really seems to talk about it or care after it's all over with anyway. I don't think there's any doubt Tis the Law was a really, really nice horse. Uh, so, the asterisk thing, really, you tell me, does it deserve one or does it not? I don't know, but I think leaving it at a mile and a half is key to horse racing and the historical aspects of the game. And we got a very, very historical sport. How many events and sports are as old as ours? It's something that's special, and I think that we should treasure and respect a little bit more. That's just my opinion. You don't have to agree, um, but I think that the Belmont should be a mile and a half, regardless of where they run it. Uh, and that's how I see it. So if you see it differently, let me know in the comments. Love to see, everybody's take on whether they think that it should have an asterisk, it shouldn't have an asterisk, it should stay a mile and a quarter, uh, or it should stay a mile and a half. So, you know, definitely, I mean, off the top of our heads, we come up with three that probably would have won the Triple Crown right there: Smarty Jones, Silver Charm, and Real Quiet. And if we go down the list, there's probably a bunch more that we can come up with. So it does, in my opinion, change an awful lot about the sport. But maybe change isn't bad. It's all your perspective. But that's something I don't think needs changing. So let me know what you think, and we'll be back with a lot more. So, ciao for now.
Zandon's poetry in motion. Big horse, but light on his feet. And he's always showed up and been consistent and been right there with some of the top horses in training. In the Bluegrass Stakes, he showed his determination and his raw ability.
It's over! Zandon wins the Toyota Bluegrass!
I feel breeders will be really blown away by what a striking, outstanding looking horse he is.
Nobody does it better.